We come together this morning because within us there is something that knows we need more than we can find in our aloneness. We know instinctively in the depths of ourselves that we need others for this journey of life, even though we also guard our independence and individuality quite jealously. So let us celebrate all that makes us unique, yet also all that makes us one. And let us dream dreams of all that we can do together. For the gift of this day and for our community of spiritual nurture and compassion, we give thanks. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. May our many sparks meet and merge in communion of heart and soul. Good morning and welcome to Eastrose Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Jan Applin Curtis, and we are happy you have chosen to join us in worship today, whether you are here in person or all of you that are watching at home. Our speaker today is our own Reverend Patty Pomerantz, who is in her last month of ministry with us before she begins retirement. Her reflection today is titled, "What Now, My Love?" Our congregation honors those who first lived on and cared for the land where our church stands. Traditional village sites of the Multnomah, Cathlamet, Clackamas, Chinook, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, and many other tribes and bands. We honor those original caretakers. Now let us take a minute and turn and greet our neighbors and wave to those online at home. I'll give you a minute to talk here. invite you to continue your conversations after the service during our visiting time. And for those of you online, there'll be an opportunity for Zoom cafe conversations. Please rise as you are able and join us in singing our first hymn, Here We Have Gathered, number 360.
the book that was the first story that I told to you way back in May of 2014, I believe. It's Dr. Seuss, of course. And it's a little long, but as I was reading through it, trying to decide what to cut, I realized that there are little tidbits in here for each of us. So not knowing what your tidbit is, and with your permission, I'm going to now read to you Oh, the Places You'll Go in entirety. Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places, you're off and away. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know. And you are the guy who will decide where to go. This was written before gender-neutral language. You'll You'll look up and down streets, look them over with care. About someone you say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not-so-good street. And you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there in the wide open air. Out there, things can happen, and frequently do, to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew, just go right along. You'll start happening too. Oh, the places you'll go. You can be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. You'll join the high flyers and soar to high heights. You won't lag behind because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. You can get all hung up in a prickly perch, and your gang will fly on. You'll be left in the lurch. You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then that you'll be in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily done. You will come to a place where the streets are not marked. Some windows are lighted, but mostly they're dark. A place you could sprain both your elbow and chin. Do you dare to stay out? Do you dare to go in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? And if you go in, should you turn left or right and 3/4, or maybe not quite? Or go round back and sneak in from behind? Simple it's not, I'm afraid you will find, for a mind maker-upper to make up his mind. You can get so confused that you'll start in to race down long, wiggled roads at a breaknecking pace and grind on for miles across weirdest wild space, headed, I fear, toward a most useless place, the waiting place. Waiting for a train to go, or a bus to come, or a plane to go, or the mail to come, or the rain to go, or the phone to ring, or the snow to snow, or waiting around for a yes or a no, or waiting for their hair to grow. Everyone is just waiting. Waiting for the fish to bite, or waiting for wind to fly a kite, or waiting around for Friday night, or waiting perhaps for their Uncle Jake, or a pot to boil, or a better break, or a string of pearls, or a pair of pants, or a wig with curls, or another chance. Everyone is just waiting. No, that's not for you. Somehow you'll escape all that waiting and staying. You'll find the bright places where boom bands are playing. With banner flip-flopping, once more you'll ride high, ready for anything under the sky, ready because you're that kind of guy. Oh, the places you'll go. There's fun to be done, there are points to be scored, there are games to be won. And the magical things you can do with that ball will make you the winningest winner of all. Fame! You'll be famous as famous can be, with the whole wide world watching you on TV. Except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. I'm afraid that sometimes you'll play lonely games too, games you can't win, because you'll play against you. All alone, whether you like it or not, alone will be something you'll be quite a lot. And when you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll even meet things that scare you right out of your pants. There are some down the road between hither and yon that can scare you so much you won't want to go on. But on you will go, though the weather be foul. On you will go, though your enemies prowl. On you will go, though the hacken cracks howl. Onward up many a frightening creek, though your arms may get sore and your sneakers may leak. On and on you hike, and I know you'll hike far, and face up to your problems, whatever they are. You'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know. You'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact. And remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and deft, and never mix up your right foot with your left. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains. So be your name Buxbaum or Bixby or Bray or Mordecai Van Allen O'Shea. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. So get on your way. The end.
Know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. Half of this week's offering supports East County Rising, whose mission is to engage, energize, and elevate East Multnomah County by transforming governments to better reflect and represent East County's diverse and progressive community. For those of you at home, you can donate by using your phone to scan the code on your screen, and you'll be sent to the Eastrose website, or you may choose to donate after the service by visiting our website. The gifts of the congregation will now be most gratefully received. Before we share our own joys and concerns, I have a special joy this morning because I'm going to welcome a new member. There are actually 3 new members, but 2 of them are MIA. Now, they're traveling, Eddie Morales and Hugh Harris. So we'll have to welcome them in absentia, or they'll have to wait till next time. Joining a Unitarian Universalist congregation is an individual act. Here you are encouraged to be on a personal spiritual journey, to respect all beliefs, including those you do not hold. Here you are encouraged not only to contribute, but to decide what end your contributions will serve. Here you are expected to question, to challenge,
to advocate, to disagree, always, always in love. This is a radical understanding of religion and religious community. Our numbers may be small, but our commitment to creating the world we vision is as large as we allow it to be. It is in this spirit that we invite forward and welcome Vincent Gray. Front and center. Vincent, we welcome you into membership of Eastrose Fellowship Unitarian Universalist. We've watched you grow up a little and return as an adult. And though you stand alone here today, you represent Eastrose climbing out of our isolation of the past, going on 3 years. Stay tuned.
On behalf of the members of Eastrose Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, I welcome you as a companion in the search for truth and meaning. Ours is a faith that calls on us to revere the past, envision the future, and to live with passion in the present. We celebrate your commitment to Unitarian Universalism and to this congregation. We pledge to make this congregation a home where we all may share love, honesty, courage, respect, and freedom. Let us build together a community of celebration, inspiration, sustenance, welcome, and service. In this spirit, we renew our commitment to seek the truth in love, to answer the call of justice, and to help one another. So may it be.
And to set you on your way, Vincent, we give you this chalice with a fake candle because we have them. A pocket version of our principles and purposes. The book you get to read whenever you have a question, called Unitarian Universalist Pocket Guide. And this is my favorite, 10 Good Reasons for Joining a Unitarian Universalist Congregation. When you're wondering why you did this, read them. Welcome. I hope the COVID police won't. You can go. That wasn't embarrassing enough? We'll do it again.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning. Ours is a sharing community where joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We take this moment to reflect on our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community. For those at home wishing to share a joy or concern, please enter that into the chat, and Sherry will bring that to the podium to be read. Here in the chapel, please raise your hand to be called on to share with our community. Mary will place a stone in the water for each joy and concern. Cynthia.
It's okay, I'd like to turn around so the folks at home can see me.
I think you should go.
Or they can see me
No,
there.
I think you should go up to the podium so they can hear you.
Oh, no, we have the,
Yes.
no, we have the audience, I mean,
Yeah, that's on.
Okay.
they're fine.
I'm here.
Okay, all that aside, I have a joy, and that is that my sister is here with me, Beverly. We had a most joyous celebration of my father's life yesterday. If you wanted to come and couldn't make it, it's still online on the link. And if for nothing else, you should watch it to hear Leah singing "Precious Lord, Take My Hand." And there was an equal amount of laughter and tears, I think, yesterday. And I have to say that one of my joys is that I got a good night's sleep for the first time in a really long time. After that, it just was very cathartic for all of us. And I thank this community for turning out like you did. It really meant a lot to both of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Cynthia. It was a very meaningful service. Jean.
Well, it's nice to be back with all of you. John and I enjoyed 5 weeks, almost 8,000 miles of driving. Saw 4 cousins of mine, 3 old friends, visited 7 Capitol buildings, state Capitol buildings, and spent about 2 weeks with our grandson in Alexandria while Mom and Stepdad were on their delayed honeymoon to Scotland. We had a wonderful time, and it is, as I said, very nice to be back.
Welcome back. Karen.
I wrote something, can you just?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm here, and you know, my dad passed in January, and we had a service for him. But last weekend, we went down to Corrales, where his gravesite is, and we had a gathering, my family and cousins and friends, and then it was a real rainy day. And so we had a picnic under a shelter in a park nearby afterwards. And it was just a really wonderful day of remembering him and kind of like coming together as a family that, I mean, they had a lot of conflict, and it was just so nice to tell goofy dad stories. It was very uplifting.
I have one that was provided from Lisbeth. She writes, on public matters, I felt that the grade school tragedy in Uvalde is a memorandum to all of the Native Americans who gave their lives when their country was first colonized in the 1500s. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing. Do we have anybody else? And I'm assuming no one shared anything on chat, as Sherry has not brought anything up. So Mary will drop a heartstone in the water to represent the unspoken concerns. And may we remember those who have spoken and those who have been named and those we hold in silence in our hearts. These joys and sorrows weave us together in the fabric of community. And please stay seated and sing along if you'd like with Voice Still and Small.
Voice still and small, deep inside out, I hear you call.
The reading for today, I know I've used recently, but I wanted to read it again because it speaks to me of where we are. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Through the unknown, remembered gate when the last of earth left to discover is that which was the beginning. At the source of the longest river, the voice of the hidden waterfall, and the children in the apple tree, not known because not looked for, but heard, half heard, in the stillness between two waves of the sea. Quick now, here, now, always, a condition of complete simplicity, costing not less than everything. And all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well, when the tongues of flame are enfolded into the crowned knot of fire, and the fire and the rose are one. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. T.S. Eliot. And now, I would like to install our new board, who was elected in May and who began their service on June 1st. I will call you up after I read this. The installation pledge you are about to take was created in 1998. I'm using it to show that the more things change, the more they stay the same. You are taking leadership of this congregation in a time of transition where there are several unknowns. You've already made significant decisions, including how to select a new minister and what to do if that doesn't happen immediately. There will be much asked of you. By taking this oath, you agree to work together to move Eastrose forward. May you have courage, serenity, and wisdom to carry on. Cynthia Hopkins, are you ready to take this pledge as president of the board?
Yes.
Keen Clay, are you ready to take this pledge as vice president? Lynn Pfeiffer, I think you're in that little camera. And I hope that you are saying, yes, you are ready to step forward as the secretary.
She's already taking minutes, so.
No, she's already taken minutes, so of course. Katie Norris Parry's here for a return run as treasurer. Some people never learn. And John Wygant, an at-large member. Larry Adams, an at-large member. And Char Woods, who's up there too.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry you don't have these words to read. I should have sent them to you. So I want to invite you to first read the statement of purpose and then the installation pledge.
Are you going to start us off?
Of course. We, the members of the Board of Trustees of Eastrose Fellowship,
Pledge to serve the members and friends of the fellowship as their governing body. We will be responsible for the administration and conduct of the business affairs of the congregation. Furthermore, we will help Eastrose continue to be a caring, welcoming community where everyone is valued and where everyone's contribution is acknowledged. We will maintain our fellowship as a spiritual home for all who choose to stay, and as a place where we can have fun together. We will encourage each other and all of the congregation to be ethical, open-minded, forward-thinking, and willing to meet all challenges with integrity and perseverance.
And now the institution pledge.
We, the members of the Board of Eastrose Fellowship, pledge to work together in the spirit of truth and love, that we may advance the purpose and mission of this Unitarian Universalist congregation and strengthen our community of care and concern.
And I hope you know that if you decide you made a mistake, it's too late, because you just got that pledge. Thank you very much for your.
Can I just say a quick word? Yeah.
And so is she again.
Yeah. That was my sister.
I was going to say, I didn't say that.
No, I just wanted to say a sincere thank you to the outgoing board for guiding us through what was a most challenging couple of years through COVID and the shutdown and all of that. And thank you. And I know two of you are right here next to me, so thank you. And thank you, Richard, thank you, Genevieve, and thank you guys, and you got to stick around for a while. So. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, thank you. Well said.
Thank you all. I hope that you don't know what you're getting yourself into. What can I say? I cannot stand before you and not mention the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Maybe because I was in Philadelphia at the time, where my mother has the news on constantly, I watched it more than I usually do. And it was excruciating to watch as more and more dead children were identified. There were, I don't know if you saw it, but there were 19 squares. And every time the news went on, more of those squares would have photos as they identified the children. That was excruciating to watch. And more became known about the police delayed confronting the shooter, an 18-year-old boy who had purchased 2 assault rifles and hundreds of rounds of ammunition for his birthday. But I don't want to talk about gun control or the state of our democracy. I want to talk about what Eastrose can do about it. In 2012, Frederick Muir, an esteemed colleague, wrote an article in The World magazine called The End of iChurch. Here's some of what it said. We can weather the demographic challenges and, in meeting the 21st century needs, sustain Unitarian Universalism for generations to come. Fundamental to our survival is a paradigm shift that goes deep into the history, character, and epistemology of Unitarian Universalism. It goes to the essence of how we understand ourselves and relate to the world at large. First, we are being held back by a pervasive and disruptive commitment to individualism. Second, we cling to a Unitarian Universalist exceptionalism that is often insulting to others and undermines our good news. Third, we refuse to acknowledge and treat our allergy to authority and power, though all the symptoms compromise a healthy future. These 3 organizing and corruptive narratives have shaped the dominant story we tell about Unitarian Universalism. Reorienting ourselves will be hard, but profoundly rewarding. I call this change moving from iChurch to beloved community. And you can read that article online. You just type in UU World and iChurch and it should come up. Then in 1991, an artist I never heard of, Susie Gablick, wrote a book called The Reenchantment of Art. In it, she writes, "We live in a society that has drastically narrowed our sensitivity to moral and spiritual issues. The problem we face is how to deal with a belief structure that has blocked both psychological and spiritual development. If modern aesthetics was inherently isolationist, aimed at disengagement and purity, my sense is that we will be seeing over the next few decades is art that is essentially social and personal, art that rejects the myths of neutrality and autonomy. The subtext of social responsibility is missing in our aesthetic models, and the challenge of the future will be to transcend the disconnectedness and separation of the aesthetic from the social that existed within modernism. Until the present time, remaining aloof has always been a possible alternative, but it is quickly becoming a dangerous approach to our current difficulties. And while decades apart, I think both authors are talking about the same thing: our proclivity to respect above all else the sanctity of the individual. While Gablick is talking about modernism in art and its focus on different autonomy, art for art's sake, Muir is talking about Unitarian Universalism culture. Now, at Eastrose, we saw a little bit of the tyranny of the individual as we negotiated the sale of the house. A small group of members who opposed the sale prolonged the process of task force groups to examine different aspects of the sale and put us through 2 votes during COVID. It was clear early on what the majority of the church membership wanted, but the amount of work the board had to put in to help us through meant they could not work on other pressing things like family ministry or pandemic programming. This is iChurch at its most visible. Another example, you may not have heard about the 8th Principle Project. This is a project to try and put our intention of anti-racism and multiculturalism into our principles. And it is being debated this month at General Assembly, the national meeting for Unitarian Universalists, which is being held in Portland in a couple of weeks. There are a few of us going to GA, but for the most part, as a congregation, we are uneducated when it comes to what's going on in our larger denomination. We are isolated from the association, and that is also an example of our iChurch mentality. Now, you are in a period of time that lends itself to examining and reorienting Eastrose's culture. During the pandemic, Eastrose wrote a new mission and vision statement. The vision is, as a religious community, we listen, engage, nurture, and act to build a world centered in justice, equality, respect, and love. And the mission statement is Eastrose courageously explores spiritual truth in the service of love and justice. And I'm looking over there at Richard Curtis and thinking about how hard he worked to make these things happen. Thank you, Richard. Our vision names us as a religious community and describes the world we envision as just, equal, respectful, and loving. Our mission sees us as seekers of spiritual truth. How might you live into these values? You could read Reverend Muir's article, as I said. The issues he raises, not just the tyranny of the individual, but exceptionalism and our allergy to authority and power have plagued our religious community for decades, and they make us more and more irrelevant. The National Association has been confronting these issues, and the pushback is significant. To allow Unitarian Universalism to be all it can be, and for you to be the best that you can be, these issues must be confronted. Look into your heart. Really look. And think about where you may be too individualistic or allergic to authority, or exceptional in your language and values. We share the guilt of diminishing our potential as a community. So where do you start? Now that we are coming back together post-pandemic, you have a new board, and hopefully we'll have a new spiritual leader before too long. This is an opportunity to recommit to listening to one another deeply. Many of you have many close relationships through Eastrose. We may be able to go back to our communal dinners soon. They were a great way to get to know one another pre-pandemic. Maybe we'll reinstate them, but there are some folks who will not be able to attend. What else can you do that will be more inclusive? What about small group ministries, where a small group of folks get together regularly to talk about things of substance? What are the community issues that are closest to your heart? Get informed, and then find a way to talk about it with others, especially others who you don't know well, or who you know have different opinions than you do. You may have heard this story before. I went to a seminary that shared classes with other more conservative students. At the end of my time on campus, I took a brief class that was about writing and the Bible. I think we were given passages to read and to respond to in a specific way. We would then go around the class and share what we'd written. I can't remember what the specific biblical passage we were responding to, but I had an immediate reaction to it. And the image I used in my writing was protecting children from the horrible images that pro-lifers often use. The person next to me I already knew was very conservative. She had the exact same response, only she wanted her child to see the truth in those same anti-abortion pictures I was talking about. We never explored this with each other, but I've remembered it till today, and I always wondered what else we might have found in common. Today, we need to look at the issues that are from the UUA. There are always issues being studied through actions of immediate witness brought to the Assembly each year, and there are also study action issues. You can start with learning what issues are current at the UUA. Did you know that every year there's a book they recommend we all read, like the Multnomah County Library summer read? This year, the book has been Defund Fear: Safety Without Policing, Prisons, and Punishment. On their homepage, there are at least 13 links to different issues. Or perhaps you're interested in the Church of the Larger Fellowship, our online church for folks who cannot get to an actual church, like those in prison. This CLF has a large prison ministry, for instance. If we are going to act as part of a larger community, the UUA to which we belong, we need to know what's going on in that larger community. One of the perks of congregational membership is a subscription to the UU World, our association's magazine, which is now mostly online. If you're not a member, you can subscribe to it. Or look to the local community. It's terrific that Eddie Morales and Hugh Harris are joining this congregation as soon as we can tie them down to come in and do the paperwork. Do you know that they started East County Rising? Do you know what ECR does? Or what projects ECR Community Projects is involved in? They will be featured at GA. And we are the only church, the only UU church in East County. And they are our Sharing the Bounty partner. We should know what they do. And there are other Sharing the Bounty partners, Human Solutions, Snowcap, and Adaka Park. Each of these agencies have long histories with Eastrose, and we already support them. How do you want to learn about what they're doing? And what might you do to support them? All of this is in the service of learning who we are together and how to deal with our disagreements as constructively as that which we hold in common. We must be able to do this if we are to open our table to all who enter. We must be able to do this if we are to open our table to all who enter. We have the unique position of religious community that welcomes all beliefs, all theologies. How will you leverage that commitment? One thing I learned from our families was that COVID froze our congregation in time, forcing us to be separated for way too long and for other people to think that we're way younger than we really are because we weren't together. It works if you think of little kids, but we grow too. Dealing with the pandemic may never end. There may be individuals who have to isolate forever. We don't know. But we have an opportunity to gather in a variety of modes. And every week, it seems that John Netherton is telling me about some new aspect of our technology. This morning, he was plugging parts into our computer. Yesterday, for those of you who were not at Cynthia Hopkins' dad memorial service, we had clips of interviews with her dad, a cousin who recorded a remembrance which was broadcast here, and music from Costa Rica. We have a lot more power than we know about, but John's up to the task. Oh, the places you'll go. One of my biggest disappointments from my time with you was not creating more links to justice issues within East County. I'm sorry that I didn't prioritize my time better to facilitate these connections. But I hope in your next iteration, you will turn your attention on our surrounding community, as well as your focus on each other. This balance is important for welcoming new members, fulfilling mission, building coalitions, by building community. Oh, the places you'll go. Amen.
Please rise as you are able and join us in singing our closing hymn, My Life Flows On in Endless Song, number 108 in the gray hymn book. Is this a video? Okay, hopefully this one will work.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear that real, though far off hymn that is the new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear that music ringing. It sounds and echoes in my soul. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest drown me, Lord? I hear the truth in living. What though the darkness round me close? The songs in the night it given. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear that music ringing. It sounds and echoes in my soul. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble, sick with fear, and hear their death knells ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cells and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends my shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? My life flows on in endless song. My life flows on in endless song. Above earth's lamentation, I hear that real, though far off hymn that is the new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear that music ringing. It sounds and echoes in my soul. How can I keep from singing? It sounds and echoes in my soul. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing?
Let us carry its glow within. Let us kindle new sparks within these walls and beyond.
And may the light you carry in your heart remind you of all that you are and all you can be. For that is the gift. That is Eastrose. Amen and blessed be.
We have many announcements today, but I'd like to start with thanking those that were involved with today's service. Reverend Patty, Mary, John, Phyllis, thank you all. Please join us Sunday, June 19th, right after the service for a retirement party in honor of Reverend Patty. We'll share a potluck lunch and celebrate Reverend Patty's 8 years of ministry at Eastrose. Eric is leading a Fort to Sea hike on Wednesday. Participants will meet here at Eastrose at 8 o'clock to carpool for an easy 6-mile round-trip hike. Please check in with Eric for more details. He does need an RSVP no later than Tuesday morning. And Eric, you already have my RSVP and Richard, so you've already got a group of 3 and hope others can join us. Cynthia has shared that books are available in the lobby. They're her father's memoir, and they were left over from the service yesterday where they were offered to those that attended. I've read the book, and it's really, really interesting, and encourage you all to take one. Just a heads up that the General Assembly service that Patty was mentioning is in Portland on June 26th, and our chapel will be closed that day in order for us to either attend in person at the 9:30 service or view it online. Keene has shared that anyone wanting Dahlia starts should see him. This is the end of the starts? Is that what you're... This is the last of the bunch. The last of the bunch that he has available to give away. So I know your dahlias are beautiful, Keene, so that's a real treasure to get. Okay, great. There will be a work party for Snowcap at Snowcap on Friday, June 10th at 3 p.m. Come and support a good cause. See Keene if any questions about that. Membership/outreach committee will be meeting at the church on Tuesday, June 7th at 3:30. We'll be discussing the retirement party for Patty and other future events. Call Keen if you need the Zoom information for virtual attendance, but you'll be meeting here in person as well, right? Okay. Today, there is a fundraiser to provide food boxes for Ukraine refugees. It will be held at the Elks Lodge in Gresham on Division Street. There will be live music, silent auctions, and food all the way from 12 noon to 10 p.m. tonight. Sounds like a fun event.
A different group each hour as far as music.
Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of good variety.
Check the Elks. Check the Elks.
Thank you, Keen. Next week, John Netherton will be providing the service titled Grieving COVID. He is looking for panelists a few people to discuss about life before, during, and after COVID. So see John if you can help with that. I think that's all of our announcements today. One more?
That is next Sunday, Second Thoughts, 9 o'clock on Zoom or on Zoom. And we will be discussing how do we as individuals decide where to put our limited resources when faced with all of the social justice possibilities that we are faced with. How do we make that decision?
Okay, so next week, 9 o'clock before the service on Zoom for Second Thoughts. This concludes today's service. Please stay for visiting time, and those of you at home can click on the Zoom link provided and join the cafe conversation.